Get ready for the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Nico, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Get them sticks down and get the pucks to the net. This is Keith Robert War, and you're watching Rockin' Hockey.
Hunter McDonald with the Northeastern Huskies, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Hey, everybody, this is Stoney Curtis from the Stoney Curtis Band and Count 77, and you are watching the Rockin' Hockey Show.
My name is TC Lewis. I'm with USA Hockey, and we are with the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Hey guys, I'm Claudia Heuser, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
I'm Blake Humphrey from Sacred Heart, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Jeff Tortora, Blue Man Group, Femmes of Rock, Count 77. This is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Hey everybody, I'm Nina D from the Femmes of Rock, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Kiara Zan, and I play on Penn State, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
I'm Owen, and you're watching the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is hockey, the way it should be. Welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
The Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Deal Hockey, and you're watching
the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is the Rockin' Hockey Show. This is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show, where our host wishes it was ODR season all year long, Coach Dave Mexican.
So we say you like to rock, and say you like to hop. See you take it all the way to the back of the cage, oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, rockers and hockers, and welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show. This is the greatest hockey show on the planet. Why? Well, because I said so, but also because we have great hockey content for everybody, from beginners to juniors, college hockey players, the pro hockey players, great content, hockey parents we have great stuff for. So if you're a hockey enthusiast, this is the show for you. All right? Again, welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show. I'm Maxie, I'm your host. And yes, I'm rocking my Iron Maiden shirt today because it's one of my favorite bands. Rocking my Tigers hat, that's one of my favorite teams. And this is going to be a great show for you. Before we get into that, all right, let's talk a little bit about the show. Again, if you haven't watched, make sure you tune in. Make sure you take the people's elbow and smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. First time watching, welcome to the show. Buckle up your chin strap because it's going to be a good one. Also, make sure that you check out the Rockin' Hockey Podcast. If you haven't done so, it's on all major podcast platforms. It's the same show, but you get a little bit longer content. The interviews sometimes are condensed for the YouTube show, but on the podcast, you get a full interview. Lots of great hockey content on that, and it's something you can do while you're on the move, in the car, at work. Listen to the Rockin' Hockey Show podcast. Again, this is the Rockin' Hockey Show. This is where great hockey content, great music collide right there, smash together, and make great hockey show. On the show, you're going to find great interviews with NHLers, hockey specialists, hockey coaches, junior hockey players, college hockey players, you name it. You're going to get great interviews with lots of great advice, great tips from players that have been there and done that. So again, if you're a hockey parent, listen to the interviews and listen to the great hockey content that comes out of it. That's something for everybody in there. We also got great skill development sessions. All right, whether it's on the backyard pond, whether it's on the ice, we got specialists out there telling you what to do. We have funny skits, we have digi-knows, and most importantly, we have kick, rock and roll music to back it all up. Okay, from our house band, Lord Stanley's Brother, to whoever comes along and wants to rock on this show. We've had some good ones, so make sure you check out the YouTube archives of past shows and look at all the great musical guests we've had on this show. Before we go any further, I want to thank Haley Wynn from Clarkson University, also Haley Wynn from the national team, star defenseman, came on the show last time and had a great conversation about team concepts and what it takes to play at the level she's playing at, the difference between college hockey, Division I, playing at the national level, and all the great players she faces, as well as her journey from youth hockey on up, all the private lessons that she did, all the work that she put into it makes it all worthwhile. Thank you, Haley Wynn, and good luck coming up with the Olympic team. I also want to thank our other great guests, rocker, hockey enthusiast, Ranger fan, Vegas Golden Knight fan, Keith Robert War from the band Twisted Sister was on the show. Keith shared his love of hockey, his love of rock and roll music, all the similarities that go between. It's a great interview. If you haven't listened to the interview with Keith Robert War, you can listen to it on the podcast, you can listen to it on the YouTube show. Make sure you check that out. Thanks, Keith. Today's show, wow, we got a doozy for you. On the podcast, we've been branching off onto some other things, and now we're doing a little bit on the YouTube show where we have today with us not a hockey player, not a musician, but we have NFL quarterback from the Chicago Bears, Caleb Hanie, on the show. Caleb's going to talk about his love for the game of hockey, even though he didn't play it. His kids play hockey. He's going to talk about the similarities between hockey and football, what it takes to be a great athlete, how he's managed to try and raise his kids properly, being multi-sport athletes like he was, and how that enhances your chances of becoming a better athlete no matter what sport you play. Also, he's going to talk about some of the things that he loves about hockey, like the old school mentality of team first, integrity, accountability, all those great things that the game of hockey has brought to his son. He's been able to translate those out to his son playing other sports as well. Also on the show, we have another interview with Dave Church. Yes, Churchy from Michigan, our Detroit contact. Churchy is on the podcast all the time. If you haven't heard Churchy is a former Division I goalie, my teammate. We played together for 2 years at college hockey. He's, like I said, a Division I goaltender, and now he's just a hockey enthusiast, and he has some great pointers and tips to go along with our topic with Caleb Hanie. What Caleb talked about, Churchy gives his 2 cents in on that, as well as Churchy always gives his updates on all the Detroit teams, from the Tigers to the Lions to the Pistons to the Red Wings. He's our Detroit connection there. So Churchy's going to have a brief interview on the show today as well. Make sure you check that out. We've got a great skill development session coming up, how to train over the summer. We also have more content coming up for summer training on the next Rock and Hockey Show. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out the skill development session. We got great music from Lord Stanley's brother. Hey, this is the Rock and Hockey Show. Say hi to the band. Remember, this is a show where the hockey rocks.
Swiatek, Sherman on the right. Stays in the blue line, evades traffic. Swiatek winds up, scores! Beautiful move, beautiful shot from the right side.
Music sucks. Take it away, Lord Stanley's brother. Rocking this, yes, Rockin' Hockey merch is now available to you. Check it out at shinnyhockeyco.com. This one, my favorite. Or you can rock a hoodie, or this hoodie. Again, get your Rockin' Hockey merch right here at shinnyhockeyco.com. Today's interview brought to you by Trotta. Check them out at trottarochester.com. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Rockin' Hockey Show. In ours, we have an awesome guest, like we prepped earlier. Not a hockey guest, not a music guest, but a former NFL quarterback, Caleb Hanie, with us. Caleb, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show. Now, I know there's some crazy weather. Are you getting any flooding in Texas, or how's the weather there?
Well, it feels like it. We got rain for like 2 straight days, and it's how Texas is. It's always extreme weather. You can't just have a nice 60-degree day. It's got to either be 20-mile-an-hour winds or monsoon or lightning or tornado or something. So,
well, so Caleb, you played 6 seasons, I believe, in the NFL as a quarterback, and we were talking about that earlier. That is like the elite position to play in all of sports. So, congratulations to you, because RJ was trying to figure how many in the history of football, how many quarterbacks there have been in the NFL, and the number has to be pretty small compared to the larger people that play in the NFL. So, what an amazing position for you. You started out with the Bears, and you can see RJ is rocking his Bears stuff right now for you.
Yeah, go Bears.
And I'm with my Lions stuff now. You asked me the question earlier, so I'm from Michigan. So yes, I've been a Lions fan my entire life, and it's been, I'm not going to give my age, but it's been over 50 years of misery. Okay, 50 years of losing teams. We had a couple teams back in the Barry Sanders days where we were decent, but it was short lived, and we never made it past the conference final. So I'm rocking my Lions stuff for you because you played in the NFL, but also because the Lions are on fire right now, and we're hoping that we get by one more week. Would be amazing to make a trip to the Super Bowl. So back to your
I hear you. I'm actually enjoying watching the Lions do well. I think everybody just has felt sorry for you guys for so long.
Sorry.
That we just are like, you know what? Let's let them have one. I really like Dan Campbell though, and I like what they're doing there, and the team it's just like seems really fun team, like a really fun team, and so I'm excited for them. I hope they win this week and go all the way.
Well, thank you. And listen, when I've been wearing my Lions stuff my whole life, but recently, like 3 years ago, when they were 2-10 or whatever, and I wear my Lions hat, and people are like, "You're a Lions fan?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a Lions fan." And now I wear it, and they're like, "Hey, you're a Lions fan?" I'm like, "Yes." They think I jumped on the bandwagon, but I wear it when they're 2-10. I wear it when they're 12-5. Hey, whatever, a fan's a fan.
Yeah, we don't know anything about bad football teams at all.
Yeah, Bears haven't been looking too great either. So,
well, I was talking. So my son inherited being a Bears fan from me, which my favorite player was Neil Anderson growing up. Like I loved watching Neil Anderson, the way he ran and everything like that. But he had that tough thing of following Peyton, so it was like, this is the guy, right? But he had a great career if you look back at it. And we were talking about it, and everybody's like, "Well, they're going to trade this guy and trade Fields and all that." And I'm like, I personally, if you hire an offensive coordinator that likes Fields, keep him. Do the 5th-year option, give him 2 more years.
Yeah.
You're going to get more assets for that first pick. And like I said to somebody, if you could trade down and get somebody like a Joe Alt, who can be your tight end or your tackle for the next 12 years, done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And I mean,
hey, you know what? I'm never going to argue with the guy picking O lineman. Like that's my favorite position when they pick first round O lineman.
I love that. Pick him, take him, sew up some of that defense, but like that's the thing is like you were talking about Dan Campbell. Like Ebersol's like the exact opposite. He's very quiet on the sidelines, but apparently they showed those speeches in the locker room when they were winning games at the end of the year, and all the players were like, "Yeah, that's our guy," and
yeah.
So I'm okay with what they're doing as long as they have a plan. That's it.
I'm only gonna be rooting for the Lions for a few more weeks, and I'm back to rooting for the Bears. So
that's where I am. I'm actually rooting for the Lions too. I got no problem with the Lions.
So Caleb, tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a quarterback in the NFL. It's got to be something unique and special. Tell us a little bit about your career. Maybe some points, any points that jump out at you as, hey, this was a great time for me, or.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say quarterbacking in the NFL in general as a position is, like you said, it's the most difficult position in sports just because, physically throwing a ball with, at least 4 6-foot plus 300-pound plus guys coming at you trying to rip your head off is hard enough as it is. But then you got to know everyone's job on the field. You got to make adjustments. You got to stay and do all that while staying even keeled and being a leader, often on and off the field. So it's definitely like a CEO level type position with that amount of stress and whatever. Being a backup quarterback's even more rare, I would say. Not that it's more difficult, because it's not, but it's just different. It's a different set of skills that you need because you're not getting practice reps. You're not getting the blame when you lose. You're not getting the glory when you win. So the kind of stress, the pressure's off of you throughout the week when you're a backup. But at the same time, you're expected to come in and perform at the same level, or at least a close enough level to keep the team at a level place while the starter's out, right? So it is a difficult position, just in a different way. Because of that, I think it's a very, very tough. Like, to see a guy come in cold, having not got any of the reps with the first string for most of training camp, preseason, during practice, during the season. Like, you literally get no reps with the first teamers. And so it's like, to see someone come in and do well as a backup, like, that's very, very, very hard to do. Very hard to do. And so the guys that can do it well, like, kudos to them. And I take my hat off to them. But my career, I was undrafted in 2008. I went to Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. Undrafted to the Bears. Was excited to be there. I had between there, the Cowboys, a couple other teams wanted me to come play and sign an undrafted free agent deal. And I chose the Bears ultimately just because they showed the most interest, honestly, and they had a good position. They were in a good position for me, quarterback wise, because I came in with Rex Grossman and Kyle Orton, and both of those guys had been around for a while. It kind of seemed like they were going to move on from one or the other, after that year, or that player was going to move on from them if they didn't get the starting job. And so I thought, like, I can sit a year and then hopefully be able to compete for at least the backup job, following then. So I chose the Bears. Loved every second of being in Chicago with the team. Great sports city, just one of the best sports cities in the country, if not the best. And then played there 4 seasons, got to back up Jay Cutler for 3 of those years. Played with Lovie Smith the whole time. He was an amazing coach. A lot of great friendships there. A lot of great guys I played with: Devin Hester, Greg Olson, Peanut Tillman, Urlacher, Briggs, all these guys, right? And so I went after that. I went to the Broncos for a year, played behind Peyton Manning, which was an amazing year. Crazy, just a crazy time of my life. Just a very, very unique opportunity, and what a blessing for me and my family. Got to go back home to Denver, right? Because I played at Fort Collins in Colorado State. And so then my last 2 years, I hopped around from Baltimore. I spent like an off season and preseason, got cut at the last cuts, jumped in a week in Cleveland, which is a funny story. And then played my last season, or my last team was with the Cowboys here in Dallas. I spent a whole off season and preseason with them, and then got released. And I said, you know what? Got 2 young kids. I'm tired of hopping around the country and with no reward at the end, because all those times you don't get paid. So those 2 seasons of hopping around and not making an actual roster, like, there's no juice at the end of that squeeze, right? So just kind of made the decision to move on, jumped in the entrepreneurial world, and now I'm in the financial world of working with athletes. So
awesome. So
that's kind of a good overview for the career.
Yeah, I mean, and then working with athletes has to be rewarding itself, and so that's great. And I know you had a couple questions too there.
Well, I was gonna say, Caleb, now you have kids that played hockey, which is how I got to you through my brother, because you played at your kids played with my brother. Tell us, are they still playing hockey, or they retire from hockey already?
Yeah, so my son's 11. We moved to Chicago for my work as a financial advisor, and it was a short-term move. Like, we knew we were coming back here to Texas, but we had one of my colleagues is his son's, like, he's real into hockey, and his son's been playing, like, since he was young, and just, like, all into it. So we were like, hey, let's try this out, and so we got to the local rink there in Orland Park, and that's how we kind of met some of the guys we worked with, and Pat, and got on that team there. And Landry just loved hockey. I loved everything about it, man. Just the kind of integrity of the game in the locker room, just the hard-nosed, character that it kind of develops in guys. I really thought that was cool. It's just such a team game. I love it because like as opposed to football at a young age, like every kid's gonna like touch the puck, right? At some point that puck's bouncing your way, and like you have an opportunity to make a play or not make a play, but at least you got some action, right? In football, if you're like a left tackle and in flag football at 7 years old, like you're never touching the ball. They're running the ball away from you all the time, and like you're not really involved in the game. Yeah, and it's like the one person can get the ball on each play. It can't be like hockey. The pucks move around so fast, and it's bouncing off the wall, and others skate or with stick or whatever, and like you could just easily find yourself with the puck with an opportunity to score or make a play. So I really, really loved hockey. I had never played it. Growing up, like we didn't have rinks nearby. When I was in Chicago, I was amazed that you could drive 10 minutes in either direction and run into a rink, right?
That's how it is here too. There's rinks everywhere. Yeah. It's insane.
Here in Texas, like in Dallas area, there's like 6 or 7 rinks in the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The closest one to us is like 40-minute drive. So like it's still like it's becoming better. Like the hockey, I would say at the elite level is like pretty comparable to up north, but there's just not as many kids playing, and there's not as many good teams. Like the good teams are really good, but there's not as many of them, right? So, so to answer your question, my son has not got back into hockey yet. So we got down here, and like he went into football, and that's the same season as hockey. And just kind of pressure down here to play football, And I'm like, hey, and my wife, like Andrea, we want him to play hockey again because it was so fun, and we just love the sport. So he's going to get back into it this spring, I think. And he's only taken like a year off, which nowadays feels like an eternity because so many kids are playing all year. But we're excited to get back into it for sure.
Well, that's awesome, and I want to just stress the way you described the sport of hockey, because on this show we talk. It's mostly about youth hockey. It's about development, and the way you, as being a non-hockey person playing hockey, you talked about the integrity of the game, the hard-nosed attitude that players and that it's instilled in players even at a young age. In the history of the game, it's still present, very present in today's game. And I think that's an awesome part of our sport. So I love the fact that you brought that out right there, and not being a hockey person, that you thought that hockey had.
And honestly, in football, I tell this people all the time, because my family and friends, they ask me about hockey and like my son playing or whatever. And so they're like, how is it? And what's it like? And I'm like, honestly, like football right now and at the youth level it wears me out, because it is so individual based, where guys just, they want to, you see the showboating and the, like, it's all about me and getting mine and like embarrassing the next dude across from you. And like, I get the highlight aspect of it, and it's certainly like I certainly as a player like wanted to stick it to some guys, And then hockey's the same way. Like, don't get me wrong, in a sense, like you want to stick it to some players who piss you off, but with hockey, there's still like this sense of like it's a team sport. It's all about the team. If you're going to put yourself as an individual up above anybody else, like you're not going to play, and that's just how it is. And so like, I saw that with some of my buddies that played for the Blackhawks, like Ladd and Troy Brower and those guys. Like the way they talk about it, still even in the media or in my conversations with them, like it's still very much a like there's guys that get put in their place pretty quick in that locker room,
Well, and that's the thing is like you watch different highlights, like nothing upsets me more than when you're down 30 and the guy tackles somebody and he's like celebrating, and it's like, bud, you're getting crushed. But I do like the fact that now, like, and I think it was really post-COVID with the way where they had the cameras in the end zone, when the defensive player takes the ball away, and like it's weird, the defense all celebrates together in football.
Yeah.
But like
the whole team goes down there to the end zone and it's like
the camera, but the D does that. The offense is kind of like, oh yeah, he just scored. Let's go. Yeah, awesome. But like in hockey, you score, you're just waiting to get mobbed. You have a shutout. Like this past weekend, we had a couple mites playing, and there was a kid got a shutout, and it was like they're piling on the goalie. They're all celebrating together. So I get what you're saying there. Hockey loves that, camaraderie, the locker room aspect of it. So,
and it's still holding on. There's certainly some players who are, individually special, right? Those guys that can score crazy goals, and everybody still wants to see we all want to see the highlight reel, like shot nutmegging a goalie or whatever, and like dropping a dude on a sweet move or a pass. We all want to see those highlights. Don't get me wrong, but it just is a little different. So,
right. So, Caleb, let's get a little bit. We had two topics I wanted to talk about with you today, especially being an NFL quarterback and with your kids playing football and hockey. Your opinion on the importance of kids becoming good athletes, playing multiple sports, and then whatever path they choose as they maybe get in late high school or college, they're gonna obviously have to specialize a little more. But give me your thoughts on just becoming a good athlete, and what other sports did you play growing up?
Yeah, I played everything, man. I played whatever was in season. I was playing it: basketball, baseball, football. Ran track. Whatever. Like I only ran track now because our football coach made us run track because I didn't like track at all. But
I don't know why you could.
I know.
Just run. So I was. Who wants to run just for fun? It's like nobody. There's no ball involved, or there's no puck or stick. Like, what are we doing? So anyway, like I played every sport. Certainly times were different back then. Like it was kind of set up that way culturally, in our communities where, okay, now it's like everything was kind of done through rec leagues. So it was like, okay, now's the football season, now's the baseball season, or basketball, baseball in the spring. And so those are the three sports I really played as a kid, growing up. I certainly believe in the fact that you should have cross training in every single kid. I think we do a big detriment to our kids if we just have them specialize from 5 years old in any sport: hockey, lacrosse, football, baseball. Like the kid you learn how to do one thing or the set of skills within that sport, and you don't get the hand-eye coordination that you could get from like kids that play football or basketball. Like to play a stick sport, like the only stick sport I played was baseball, right? But playing a stick sport like hockey, lacrosse, baseball, like it develops such a different hand-eye coordination than just playing football or or wrestling or whatever, like you're going to develop only a certain aspect of your physical talent, where I think at least playing two sports these days, because it's almost impossible to play everything the way things are structured, because everything's year round. The seasons don't coordinate with each other. So like a lot of times, like guys right now on my son's basketball team, they're playing like 7-on-7 football tournaments. And so like, hey, we can't come this Saturday. We got a tournament in Houston. I'm like, it's January. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are we playing 7-on-7 football? Like, you think but people I think it comes from a lot of people just thinking they have to get seen early and they have to get recruited early. And like, if they don't, they're going to be behind. Like the whole Tiger Woods, like playing golf when he was 3, I think kind of set all these parents into a frenzy. Like, oh my gosh, like I have to I got to get my kid on the rink when he's 3. And like, that's all we're just going to live at the rink for 12 months out of the year. It's like, and your brother, Pat, he was telling me, I know his kids play baseball and whatever else too. Cause it's like, hey, it's a different skill set, trying to hit a baseball is like one of the hardest things to do in this world. So, anyway, that's my soapbox about that, but I'm sure you guys are the same way.
Yes, we are. And both of us understand that times are changing, because like they didn't have the training facilities that work on other muscles. Like if you're a football player in the off season, you can go to the training facility and they'll work with you on developing other muscles. They didn't have those for kids. So we do understand both sides of it, but we're still, both of us, his kids play baseball. My kid is soccer, basketball, baseball. He's all hockey, and so I'm with you on that. Playing multiple sports is, I think, the best way to do it because a lot of times it's not going to cost you as much either as a parent.
Well, one thing, but having your kid become an athlete first is the most important, no matter what sport you're playing.
Agreed.
If your kid is athletic, they can play any sport. It may take them a little while to learn some of the tendencies of the sport, but they can play anything, and they're going to be better off at that as opposed to specializing. So we talk about that a lot here. We're big fans, and the funny thing is, everybody that we ask that question, especially to former NHLers and former football players and former baseball players, they all say the same thing: is play multiple sports, get to become a good athlete first, and then you can specialize when the time comes. So,
right.
Switching
I'm in agreement there.
Switching gears, I want to talk a little bit, and this is unique to you, Caleb, because of your position as quarterback. I want to talk a little bit about, and you can reflect a little bit on the pressure. Obviously, the quarterback is going to feel a lot of pressure. An NFL quarterback must have staggering amounts of pressure on him. Tell us a little bit about what you went through with the pressure, and then talk a little bit about what kids have to go through today, and give me maybe some thoughts on whether you think it's good, bad, when is too early to have pressure. Should we put it off to later in life a little bit? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in today's world, kids are getting pressure a lot earlier. I work with, I'm talking to kids that are in high school now, quarterbacks, just the nature of the NIL, meaning name, image, and likeness, where kids in college can make money off of their name now. That's forced conversations about their finances, earlier in their life. And so certainly when there's more money involved, and there's the pressure grows because of the media, right? College football, I think about college football as like, it's such a moneymaker. The NCAA is making hand over fist money off of this thing for years, right? And when there's that money involved in your school pride, and like University of Alabama, right, or University of Michigan, like these schools have so much money they're making from football. They're promoting it, and they're saying like, come watch, come see this guy, come see that guy. So when you're the guy who has the ball in your hand every play, and the kind of the destiny of that team is in your hands every play, like fans are living and dying by it, because now there's a lot more on the line, right, than just winning a game for your team, right? It's winning a game for your university, winning a game for your city, winning a game for your fan base now, which is a lot bigger than just your town with the way sports is. And so as a quarterback, you're in that unique position than any other sport. The ball's in your hand almost like basically every play when you have the football as an offense. So unless you're doing wildcat, where they're formation, where you're snapping it right to the running back, which happens right every, like maybe 1 or 2 times a game, that quarterback's handling the ball every play. Either that, or he's making the decisions to check into certain plays or get you in certain positions. And so, man, it's like everyone lives and dies by your decision as a quarterback. There's no greater feeling than throwing a touchdown pass, but there's no greater added pressure than when you throw a pick or you fumble the ball in the pocket or something like that. And so it's just one of those things where I would say, one quote I heard from Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, one time, he said what separated him was his ability to thrive in ambiguity. And so I always thought like that's a NFL player or a pro athlete, especially the NFL, because there's not really guaranteed contracts. Like there are certain contracts that are guaranteed, and certainly a higher level player is going to have some guarantees in his contract. But for the 75% of the league, none of that's guaranteed. And so there's a lot of ambiguity. You could get cut, you could get traded, you could get shipped out to or you're replaced by the guy behind you, like just like this. And so that's a very ambiguous place to live in. I know August for me was always a very tough time mentally, because it's like I could be on the team and make $500,000 this year, or I could make zero, right? And it all rides on this month, and it all rides on these 3 games of the preseason, and really these 30 snaps that I might get. And so there's certainly a lot of pressure to perform, and there's certainly a lot more added pressure with the media and place like Chicago, where it's even more. The media is even harsher, and the fans are even more like engaged, right, all the time. It certainly gets harder and harder. But I think it forms a resiliency, and just like Jerry Jones said, like a quarterback, you have to be able to thrive in ambiguity. You throw that interception, and I learned this at a young age, like thankfully through my dad and like other coaches that I had. If you throw an interception, the last thing you want to do is let that affect your next play, right? You've got to have a short memory. It's like the Ted Lasso, if y'all watch that show, like you got to have a goldfish memory, right? It's like 10 seconds of memory and then you forget it.
Right.
So to me, like quarterback is the ultimate place for that, because it's like the next play is definitely riding on you again. Whereas like a receiver, you may not get the ball for another 10 plays, right? Or a tight end, you may not get the ball for another 10 plays or 20. A lineman, if you mess up, like you're not going to be talked about for the next 60 snaps, right? You get that one mess up, no one's looking at you the next play, but they're looking at the quarterback. And certainly other positions, like high profile positions in the hockey rig, have those guys that they're feeling that pressure because they're expected to score goals or stop goals, right? I would think the goalie is probably
in that situation. It's probably goalie is probably your most comparable pressure thing like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned you're working with kids. Do you feel that some of these kids, the pressure is being put on them too early? Like my son, he's a sophomore, so we have a whole nother year before he can even be talking to, and he's a pitcher.
Yeah.
So like I told him this year, just relax, have a good time. We're gonna start doing all that stuff next year. So do you feel a lot of the pressure is like on these kids too early?
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes from the parents, because like I said, when the money's high and the stakes are high, like there's a lot more pressure. There's not a lot of money and high stakes in the youth league, other than the pressure that your parents and your team's families put on you, right?
Right.
And so I certainly think like playing for we played for Pat, in Chicago on our hockey team, like he made it like we were serious and we wanted to win, but we also knew that we weren't going to get reprimanded all the way home, from the coach, or like they weren't going to get screamed at and treated like crap. Like it was all a game still in a developmental mindset. And that's what I think kids need. Like they've got to be able to. I tell my son all the time, like, I expect you to mess up. I expect you not to be perfect. And I think there's something freeing in that, where it's like, okay, well, when I make a mistake, it's not like my dad expected me to be perfect and make all those plays, but I tell him what I do expect you to do, though, is work hard. And what I do expect you to do is treat people the right way. And I do expect you to, get up when you get knocked down. And those are my expectations. As long as you're doing that, the results, like you don't have to make every play. And I don't expect you to hit every shot. And I don't expect you to be the best stick handler in your second year of holding a stick. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, you've got time to grow with me, buddy. Like, don't worry about me thinking you're supposed to be Patrick Kane, have Patrick Kane's hands like year 2 or year 3. Like some of these kids you're playing with have been playing since they were 4.
Right.
They've had a stick in their hands since they were 3. Like you grew up in Texas. Like,
yeah,
sorry, I set you up for failure a little bit, right? But you say, let's go throw a ball with them and see how they can throw a ball. Some of them, can't do that. So it's just different, And I think the parents just really have to take ownership, and the coaches in our game and our youth, especially at the youth level, in making sure we understand this is not the Super Bowl. This is not like $1 billion business who's like paying you to do this. Like it's still a developmental game. And yeah, we want to win and we want a winning culture, but more than anything else, we want a culture like that elevates the things that are going to stick with you beyond the sport, when 98% of you are never going to play pro hockey or pro football, right? So I want the character, the hard work, discipline, all those things to be the things that are promoted, because odds are that's where they're going to be used outside of the rink or the field.
Well, that's well said, Caleb, and we agree 100%. I feel, not to continue on that, but too much pressure from parents, too much pressure from coaches, and a lot of times the coaches are also parents, so it comes from that direction, and having them realize it is just a game, and the skills that these kids are learning by playing whatever sport it is going to be a lifelong lesson for them. Because, like you said, it's probably smaller than 90. It's probably more like 99% will never play professionally at that sport.
Absolutely.
So,
and the pressure we put on coaches too at the youth level, it's like you got to realize, like, now I had a bit higher standards for Pat McAfee because like he played at a level, right? But I'm just kidding. But these are parents too. They got full-time jobs. And like they're coming to coach your kid as a volunteer and getting paid.
Right. Yeah.
So don't treat them like they should be like Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean? Like calling plays and like whatever. It's like even me as a former NFL quarterback, I felt some pressure to call plays when I coached my son's offense, 2 years ago or 2 football seasons ago. And like I'm like, why do I care? Like, first of all, who is this dad that's telling me like how to call an offense, number one? Secondly, like you certainly have the opportunity at some point to become the coach. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be the coach. If you want to coach and you're a parent, like you can pretty much, they're looking for volunteers, trust me. Right. But so I always am like, I give the coach so much grace as long as he's treating my kid with respect and like not coaching in a way that's like berating to anybody. Like you have all the grace in the world for me to make mistakes and do your best. Right.
Well, that's great advice for all sports of parents listening to that. So Caleb, we'll wrap this up right away here. Give us your favorite, it could be a funny story, whatever, your favorite NFL memory as an NFL quarterback. Anything come to mind? It could be funny. It could just a great story. I mean, you played with Manning. Anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, certainly my time in Chicago was highlighted by my appearance in the NFC Championship game against the Packers in 2011. That's 2010 season, I think 2011. Yeah, so that was like definitely a highlight of my career. I mean, there's only 16 games that you play in a season for a fan base, right? Unless you go to the playoffs. And then, so every single game is highly, highly paid attention to, right? In the NFC Championship, there's only 2 teams in the world playing at that time. And so talk about a moment that was high pressure, high visibility, just very memorable. If anyone in Chicago remembers me, that's what they remember me from. Thank God they don't remember me from losing 4 games the next year. So like, and we lost that game, right? But I came in as a 3rd string guy at the time and did my best and like brought us back from, didn't have many signs of life before that. And Jay had got hurt in the first half and like all this stuff.
I was going to ask if that was the Jay Cutler bike game where he was on the bike and showing that. Yeah, I know it's the game you're talking about.
And so that was like that was obviously a big moment. And I got to the end of the game and people were patting me on the back. I'm like, we lost the game, guys. Like, but they were just proud of how I played. And looking back, like I've come to just be proud of that moment of coming in as a 3rd string guy and just letting it loose. And I think I threw like 170 yards in 1 quarter, which was in a touchdown. Should have been 2, but they didn't call one a touchdown. But anyway, that was a good moment from my Chicago days. But certainly playing with Peyton Manning was incredible. I just remember one of my favorite stories to tell about him is the fact that I remember going into an offensive meeting the week before our first game, and it was like a blitz review where we watched the other team's pressures that they're going to bring. And blitz is just bringing one more guy than you normally do, at least. So there's 4 down linemen. They're usually always bringing 4, but bringing 5 or more is what we consider a blitz. So certain teams run more exotic blitz looks than others. And so we always have an exotic kind of blitz review early in the week so that we know because those are the plays where if you don't block them up or protect it or change the play, like they could be game-changing plays where they cause a fumble or an interception or a critical third down where you need to get a first down, right? And so, in Chicago, we had spent a lot of time ad nauseum, like hours on end at times, going like trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do versus this blitz? Like, okay, we're going to move this guy over here, and we're going to reset the protection, or maybe we're going to change the play, and we got to do all these mechanics, right? And it would take us an hour or more to go, like 2 hours sometimes, to go through these blitz meetings because there was just a lot of moving parts. And you can imagine trying to get 11 guys on the same page after telling them you're doing this, and then like I can barely get my kids on the same page, and I got their attention, right? So getting 11 grown men who are set and locked and loaded to go block this guy, now they got to go block this guy. It's like you got to reframe. There's a lot of mechanics that have to be done. Anyway, I kind of thinking my first meeting with Peyton in this setting, I'm kind of excited to see all the like complicated like experience that he brings. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna. Like, what trick does he know to block this? And like, what all minutia is going to happen? Like, he looks like, you see him out in the field and he's doing all these hand motions and stuff. And you think he's probably doing a lot of this complex stuff. But so we get in the meeting and first, package gets pulled up. We're starting to go through, here's a blitz with, they bring this blitz, the offense, this is the quarterback coach talking. Like here's the problem. Like we can make these two simple changes and take care of it mostly. But in this protection, this particular protection, like we don't really have a good answer. So we need to figure out what we need to do because it just got a little complicated. So we spend like 5 minutes kind of talking through, well, what if we do this? What if we do that? And then I just saw Peyton kind of get frustrated. He's like, do we have to run this protection this week? And like the coach is like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, do we have to, like, is the game plan like just shot completely if we don't run this protection? And he's like, well, no, I guess not. He's like, okay, we'll throw it out then. And like, then we were all sitting there like, can we do that? and like, we just moved on and we were done in the meeting like 30 minutes. And so I was like, that was the most brilliant like thing I've ever seen. And it wasn't, and that was Peyton. Where I learned about Peyton is he was really, really good at making things so simple for everybody on the field that you weren't going to make mistakes, right?
Right.
And that's I always use that example as like when I talk about keeping it simple. It's like you can do all these complex things, or you know what? Just throw out the protection that week. Yeah. Like if that's the only protection that gives us a lot of problems, we're just not going to run that protection this week. Like just stay out of it because it's going to cost us so many hours and time in our week to get the receivers to understand what they have to do when we could spend that time, on the 98% of the stuff that we need to do to win the game, right? So I just thought that was always just kind of a good example of when we try to do too much, and we try to overcomplicate the game, when at the end of the day, it's like sometimes just making it simple is the best way to do it. Like if you can do the simple things really well all the time consistently, like you're going to be successful. And that you can translate that message into business or anything else you go into. So that's probably one of my favorite stories to tell, especially when, you want to hear kind of behind the scenes about Peyton.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be something like he told you to buy into Papa John's or something really early and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You're like,
he made me drive a Buick.
Oh, I got a store to sell you. I don't want that. Thanks. I'm good.
Is it nationwide? Yeah, you may as well get nationwide insurance. I don't know.
That Caleb, that was an awesome story, and I can't agree more. But for the great ones, things are simple for them. Yeah, things are simple for the great ones, and that's what makes it great is they're able to do that stuff. So, listen, thank you so much for coming on the Rock and Hockey Show. We appreciate your insight, being an NFL quarterback and your views on hockey and child youth sports. Awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Thanks for having me, man.
Yep. All right. We're down.
Go Lions.
Go Lions, right?
Awesome. Thanks, Caleb.
Yep.
Check out Toronto. It rocks, just like the Rock and Hockey Show.
This skill development session brought to you by our good friends at Pirani's Hockey World.
Hey, rockers and hockers, summertime is a great time to practice hockey from home. You don't need to be at the rink to work on your striding, your shooting, your puck skills, balance board, leg strength, foot speed, and explosive movement. Set up shop anywhere and get rocking.
My name's Aiden Johnson. I play for the Rochester Junior Americans, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Dave Church on the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Let me introduce. We got, in case anybody just tuning in, we got with us Dave Church, college goaltender and Michigan know-it-all. How's that for
Michigan?
I can live with that. There's some pretty big britches, but I'll slide right into them.
Churchy, do me a favor and just give me like a half stand right now. I want to see this T-shirt you got on.
Oh yeah, I'm remiss. Look at that.
Look at that! Oh wow, somebody got a nice Christmas gift, huh?
Rockin' hockey.
Yeah, I was out at the local watering hole, and some really attractive young lady wanted to do shirt for shirt with me, but I said, hey, this is the only one I got, so I'm gonna take a pass.
That's great. I don't know what places you go to, but maybe we got to start going.
Shirt for shirt. Sign me up.
Right on.
So,
you know what's funny about the Lions run is how well the Red Wings have been playing in the shadow of that, and it's kind of going unnoticed because you can't take your garbage out now without seeing some neighbor who migrated from India with a Lions jersey on right now. It's great.
The problem is though, you can't say that like the Red Wings are in the tail of the Lions because the Pistons are 100% hot garbage.
Yeah, there's a nice meme on the expressway of a dumpster floating down the street on fire, and with the Pistons logo on the side of the dumpster. Yeah, so I had an opportunity last night, Dave. I'm working with a buddy of mine's son is a 16, so that's like first, second graders, and their goalie just started playing goalie. So the kids went out on the ice, and I snuck in the room and I put all my stuff on, this big dude, and walked out on the ice, and I practiced with them, and they had so much fun. It was a blast for me, but it was a lot of fun for them because they're bumping into me, and it was
I did a goalie clinic last night too, so we were both on the ice doing goalie stuff last night.
Yeah, the difference is I know about goaltending.
It could be the difference. It could be. So, Churchy, listen. What's the atmosphere like in Detroit? It's got to be crazy right now.
Yeah, it's like it's the way I would describe it is people don't know how to behave. I mean, it's January 24th, and usually we're thinking about who we're going to draft.
Right.
And it's for 3 weeks we've been talking about what draft pick we're going to get, what coach we're going to fire, all that kind of stuff. And now we're talking about do we really have a chance of winning the game? Can we get tickets to the game in Vegas? And we're hosting the Super Bowl. We're hosting the draft. And then which team is going to snatch our offensive and defensive coordinators? That's what the conversation is now.
Yeah. Could we get 3 Rockin' Hockey Show credentials to go to Vegas?
Oh, geez. Of course.
On this. Good Dave.
Dave knows people out there.
We need to get media.
I've been to Vegas a few times.
Yeah, Dave knows people.
Would they recognize our show to get us media credentials? And where on the road would we be put? Probably by
I think we'd be put way down, probably like 20 miles north of town, next to the guy selling cantaloupes and the guy changing his tire.
Next to the Santa Fe. Next to the Santa Fe?
Right, at the Santa Fe. That's right.
12 miles down.
So what you're saying is we're not going to be next to First Take at Jim Rome? We're not
but Dave, I love the Santa Fe take. I mean, we've got ins there. They owe us.
We've stayed at the Santa Fe many times, so they should. I think they have our pictures up somewhere in that facility. But
yeah, back in the security office, our pictures are up.
Yeah. All right. So, Churchy, let's talk some hockey. We just talked to Caleb Hanie, and we discussed two things. One, I think we've talked with you about before, but we'll keep this one short. But the for kids playing multi sports, he played football, he played basketball, he played baseball. The importance of kids being good athletes first. Go.
Yeah, I think being a good baseball player playing baseball makes you a better hockey player. I think being a wrestler makes you a better football player. I think being a football player makes you a better wrestler. And so until you're probably, I don't know, at a certain age, and it probably varies by individual, I think you should play as many sports as you can because it teaches you a lot of different lessons. Think about this. You may be the number one goalie on the hockey team, but you're the number two catcher on the baseball team. So now you have to mentally prepare for, okay, I'm the guy in this sport, and I'm the next guy in this sport, and that's how good well-rounded athletes develop.
Yeah, and always being ready. You never know when you're going to go in. Always be ready. You start prepped like you're going to play. That's exactly the same thing we both probably preach to our kids. So. Because you never know when they need you if you're that backup. It's one thing being that guy.
And you probably have two different coaches, so you get exposed to two different coaching styles, right? And you have to develop two different relationships, and that's all good. Those are all good life lessons because you guys might find this hard to believe, but 99% of hockey players aren't going to play in the show. So, but they are going to participate in life, right? We've talked about this before. So those are all good life skills.
Exactly. Okay, next subject. The pressure that young athletes feel. Good, bad, when is it too much, too soon?
The too much, too soon thing is really, really interesting. I tend to advocate giving them as much pressure as they can handle. And what that breaking point is, I think, is a function of every different kid. But as coaches, the job should be to don't put a kid in a position where he can't succeed, but take him right up to the edge. And if he fails, support him. And if they succeed, then you can celebrate that with them. But that pressure is what stimulates growth. Look, even in senior hockey, I'd rather lose a 3-2 game than win a 9-0 game. Right, just because it makes me a better hockey player when I play with better hockey players. And let's face it, those pressure situations, that's what we all live for. I love playing Michigan State in college. I mean, they were the best team in the country, right? And so it was a measuring stick of where we were at. Now I was a bit older than some of these little kids, but they're not going to get there if we hold their hands.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like you were saying with the fine line of what they can handle, what they can handle. We were kind of more. What age is it where you kind of let that pressure start building? Like is it 13? Where they're starting to get into high school sports, or is it, wait, a little bit older when they're starting to get ready for that pressure of college athletes or trying to become a college athlete?
Well, it's got to be before college sports. I mean, let's face it, we all played college sport or even high school sports, because in high school sports, there's pressure built up, even if it's not coming from your parents or it's not coming from the school, it's coming from your girlfriend, it's coming from society, right? You're on the football team, you haven't beat this team in a while. But there's stepping stones. Like I'm skating with a bunch of 2016s yesterday, right? And at that age, all you want to do is make them excited about coming to the rink the next time.
Exactly.
It's literally, that's it, right? And then as the kids mature, then it becomes, okay, hey, we're going to play in this tournament, and your buddy might be on the other team, and there's all those conversations. But you got to spoon feed them the pressure, because by the time they get to high school, it's sink or swim time. And, there's no two ways about it. I mean, sports are a microcosm of life. They're not fair. But I think that's the beautiful thing about sports, is that that's a safe way to learn those lessons.
I agree for the life lessons in that everybody at some point has to learn how to deal with adversity and feel that pressure, knowing it's coming. On the flip side, I think that in youth sports, there's too much unnecessary pressure at an early age. as opposed to saying, hey, you're playing a really good team. Let's go out and really give it your all. Or saying, hey, if you don't start playing, you're not going to get a college scholarship or you're not going to make it to the NHL. I think parents putting.
I agree. We just switched from a coaching perspective, which is the way I answer the question, to the parents. I'd bet my dog's life that 99% of that pressure comes from mom and dad in the car on the way to the game.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. As opposed to the coaches, because the guys that have taken the time to coach, they're thinking about the team as a whole, and they're thinking about how to grow the team and the individuals on the team. Mom and dad are thinking about little Joey or little Jenny's, college scholarship and how they're going to be sitting on college game day on Saturday morning, basking in the glow of their kids.
100%. I'm like the stepping stone thing was probably the best aspect of it, is like you're saying, is a little bit, feed them a little bit here, a little bit there, and that kind of stuff. So, I mean,
yeah, because I remember, so all my answers come from the perspective of I was a goalie, and I grew up as a goalie in a brutal time, right? I mean, the coaching, the players, and all the resources available to kids today didn't exist back then, including the coaches. I was fortunate to have some good coaches, but I'd play a really good game, we'd lose 2-1, and it was completely on me. At 8 years old, right? And that sticks in your head, and it's still there at 18 years old, later on down the road. So I think that you have to, you got to set these kids up to be successful. You have to let them fail, right? As a society, we do a bad job of letting our kids fail, but then you have to work with them after they succeed or fail to say, okay, that was great, this happened, and here's what's going to happen next. Because, it's about life. It's about growing these kids.
Wow. Well said, Churchy, and I'm not even going to say anything else because that was well said, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Let's talk some music. I did know, I think it's tonight maybe, Nina DiGregorio with the Femmes of Rock, who was on this show a couple months back, is playing at the Metal Shop in Flint. I believe it's either tonight or tomorrow. So just figure.
Wow.
Yep, she was on the Rock and Hockey Show. She lives in Vegas now, of all places, but she does a show called the Femmes of Rock where they play electric fiddles and they play rock music. Like they play Queen and AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and Jimi Hendrix and this really cool light show. And they travel all over the country doing this show with these electric fiddles. Pretty neat.
So should I go up to the machine shop tonight with my shirt on and see if I can't do a shirt for shirt with somebody?
Well, I can send Nina an email and see if she'll trade you her shirt. So,
or get a picture with your shirt on and then get it over to us, or maybe an on the spot interview, like a quick interview with him.
Guys can take care of that for you. And then you've heard of the Insane Clown Posse, right?
Yes.
So I forget the name of the guy, but there's somebody, Jay. He's one of the rappers.
Yeah, Jay's one of he's the main guy. Yeah, go.
Yeah, and so he is from Milford, Michigan. I was on the Milford website, and he's like one of their distinguished residents.
Come on, from the Insane Clown Posse.
Believe it or not, my daughter, who's 13, has a couple of their songs in her playlist on Spotify. Not some of the way out crazy nonsense, but she does have a couple. They used to come to Rochester a lot. Like they had a big following in this area. The old Penny Arcade they would play. What is that?
What about the National Guard Armory?
Yeah, the Armory. Yeah, it was actually Culver Street Armory now. So,
there you go.
Churchy, keep it real, man.
You got it. Take care. Ciao.
Welcome to Toronto, and welcome to the Rock and Hockey Show.
So, hey, I'm Caleb Hanie, former NFL and Chicago Bears quarterback, and this is the Rock and Hockey Show.
Hi, I'm Haley Wynn from Clarkson University, and this is the Rock and Hockey Show.
This is Keith Robert War, and I'm hanging out with Dave, and you're watching Rock and Hockey.